Hello, I'm JForceG, and welcome to the third video of this Let's Make series. I'm gonna go through how I got a crouch function, a ground pound, and a spring. See, there's a spring here. Woohoo! So on our character, we have a message receive sensor, and when the spring message is received, put force up on the z-axis by 500. That's how we did that. Pretty simple stuff. I also added a property to certain objects called breakable, and when ground pounding is true and a ray is touching breakable, we destroy that object. Only this didn't work, so what I had to do was create a empty object, which is right here. I then went to the node editor, and on update, on next tick, ray, looks for property breakable, and is ground pounding, is the player ground pounding. Remove object that the ray is touching if they have breakable. The reason why I put this logic on an empty object and not on the breakable object is because if you do that, the code won't work. At least not when I tried it. Holy crap, there's a lot to go through on our character controller. I guess we'll start with sprinting because that's the easiest. Is sprinting true, then set the Y speed to, what did I put it here? -20. I know it says -10 here, I just didn't name it properly. I also wanted to make sure that the player isn't crouching. Yes, we have crouching now. And that shift is down. And if that's true, set sprint to true, and is moving as well. So if these three conditions are true, set sprint to true. Otherwise, set sprint to false. Crouching and ground pounding was a tough one. Starting with crouching, I wanted to make sure that it happens when you click toggle crouching. Is grounded true and is moving, and is crouching true, then cancel out normal movement. So this cancels out our move forward in a way. It kind of, because if this is -20 and the other one's -10, it's going to slow this down, right? I also made another one for is crouching true, then set crouch animation. For this, I did some simple animation that simply changes the scale of the object in the z-axis. So right here we have the crouch animation, and right here we have the stand animation. As mentioned in my first-person character controller video, when you crouch, your character will remain suspended in the air, so I made a actuator sensor that checks to see if this is done, and if so, reset position. So all reset position does is add a little bit of force on the y-axis, negative y-axis and the negative z-axis to kind of push it down. Finally, we check to see is crouching false, and if it is, set stand animation. So obviously I had to make simple booleans for is grounded, or not is grounded, is crouching. For our ground pound, I had is crouching true and is not grounded, then set crouch to false and set ground pound to true. Is ground pounding true, then set the motion to -50. I had an issue where when ground pounding I would fall through the floor, but what oddly enough fixed that was giving the floor a thickness. So instead of it just being a plane, it's a cube type object. Here, I checked to see, is ground pound true and is grounded true? If so, we set ground pound false. Also, I wanted our logic node thing here that checks to see if something's breakable to be to only happen when the player ground pounds. So in our bricky nodes, is ground pounding, initiate the logic node code. I also wanted to make sure that you couldn't do the combo jump while crouching. So I added a crouching is false, property sensor, and plugged them into these ANDs controllers. So if I right click here and jump, you can't. You could jump a little bit, but you can't do combos. Another trick I wanted to put emphasis on is when sprinting, it kind of adds this move forward. So -20, and this one's -20. And so it ends up being -40. Of course, I had to make sure that the player is moving in order to sprint. There was an issue I had. And a lot of it is problem solving too, where if you were to simply press shift, the character would move forward, but I wanted it to happen only when you're moving. So if you stand still here, nothing happens, but if you... Yeah, it's a little detail that I thought I should put emphasis, just in case people want to recreate this. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna be... tomorrow I'm thinking of working on some sort of air dash, and that will be probably the end of the series, and then I'm thinking of making a more serious game and releasing this either in my Patreon or on itch.io. I'm not too sure yet. Thanks for watching. Have a good day, Majibby thing.